Hello, hello, hello. I hope everybody's well. I hope you can hear me. My name's Sam. I'm the sport and exercise performance specialist here at Sheffield Sports Medicine, and I hope you're all doing really well. I had some troubles there getting online for a minute, so I hope this is working now. So today's topic is sciatica. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what sciatica is, it's pretty much nerve compression or nerve impingement or irritation of the sciatic nerve. Now, the sciatic nerve runs down from your lumbar spine, lower spine, down to all the way down the back of your leg, down to the back of your knee, and then splits off into two other nerves. And a lot of people who struggle with sciatica always have the same kind of problems: back pain, dull ache, pain down the legs, even all the way down to the feet. So you may know someone who actually struggles from sciatica themselves, because it's very common and it's something we see here in the clinic all the time. So we have some good questions, and today we're going to keep it basically sciatica related. So we're very topic related today. And the first question is basically, what is sciatica? And I've kind of just answered that there. And it's going to just be compression or irritation of that sciatic nerve, which obviously causes a lot of pain. It can cause numbness, tingling down the legs, both legs, one leg, depends on what side of the nerve is being impinged. Sometimes it can be both sides. Okay. And it's very debilitating. And often people have sciatica for years, months, really long periods of time. And it comes to a point where it's really tough. And I'm sure at least one time in our life we will all suffer from a symptom of sciatica, because it's just one of those areas that commonly gets irritated. And the big question is, how can we prevent that? And that kind of leads me on to actually then the next question here is, how can I prevent sciatica? So thank you for that question. And it's a very, very good question, because sciatica is actually caused through this irritation, right? Now, this compression of the nerve. So what you really have to make sure is that that lumbar spine, that lower spine, isn't being compressed, isn't overloading, and therefore it can actually take the load and not have to give way and eventually compress the nerve. Because when we look at sciatica, it's either going to be just irritation, it's going to be muscular, something called piriformis syndrome, so where the piriformis muscle actually contributes to the factor of pain. And what's really interesting about the piriformis muscle itself is that anatomy differs between different people. So some people have a sciatic nerve running through the piriformis, on top, underneath, okay, and that can actually change the way that somebody responds to certain movements and get that sciatic feeling. So piriformis syndrome is a very valid cause of sciatica as well. You've also got the most common cause, in my opinion, which is your herniations and bulges of your discs. So in between your vertebrae, you have the disc, and it's wrapped around this sheath, you could call it, and then inside is the nucleus. Okay, and what can happen is sometimes that sheath that wraps around the nucleus, to protect it, can bulge, in which case we call that a bulging disc. And when that does bulge, it can compress the sciatic nerve and cause a lot of irritation and pain down the leg into lower back. Okay, you'll probably get symptoms when you bend down, lean to one side, it starts to hurt down the leg. That could be a sign of a bulge. Or you get the worst case scenario, which is the herniation, in which case the nucleus is actually popping out the fibrosis, and in that case it's popping out and compressing the nerve, and these ones are usually a bit more painful and harder to fix as well. So as you can see, there's a lot of things that cause sciatica, but the question is, how can we prevent it? And it's a great question. So to prevent it is really simple. All right, first off, you've got to address the load issue. Okay, is it loading too much? If it is loading too much, you ask yourself why. Is something not working the way it should be? Am I not strong enough in a certain area? Usually when we do look at sciatic symptoms, it's going to be maybe a glute issue or a psoas issue, which are really important muscles for stabilizing the hip and lower back. So we always go there first. And if something's not right there, we get it working, and then we go to the strengthening. Now, it's really important to strengthen the muscles around the hips, around the lower back, but more importantly, the core as well. So remember the last video, we talked about how the core is just this big strap around the front and lower back. And it's really important that you strengthen that, keep that really strong so it can stabilize all those joints and all those surfaces there that may be moving when they shouldn't be. So when you are doing something heavy or strenuous, everything's stable, strong, and nothing's going to give way, load too much, and cause irritation on the sciatic nerve. So it's really important that you do strengthening in terms of your core work and your hip, glutes, lower back work as well. It's one of the reasons I really like deadlifts, because it's really good lower back, glutes, hamstring work, which are really good for keeping sciatica at bay. As long as you do it correctly, and as long as you don't eat anything you shouldn't be eating before you go to the gym, because I think I mentioned that previously, that food can play a massive part on our health in terms of our movement, our muscles' ability to contract, and in overall well-being. So do not eat anything you're intolerant to or that doesn't agree with you before you go to the gym and then start deadlifting. That's how people get hurt and injured. Okay, but as long as you're strong and stable, go deadlift, go squat, go work on that core, and that's how you can keep sciatica at bay, which is great. So that's what I would do to prevent it, and that's what I do most days at the gym, because I like to look after myself. So what can I do to cure it? Now, we kind of addressed this a little bit, but it's a valid, very valid question. And the key here is to address the reason why it's happening in the first place. First, you need to diagnose the problem. Is it disc related? Is it just irritation? Is it muscular? Is it piriformis syndrome? Okay, or could it just be a red herring? Could it just be sacroiliac pain that's giving these kind of referral pain that you would get from sciatica? So it's really important to diagnose and understand what is going on. Once you can do that, then you can start to treat it a lot better. And usually it's always going to be a load issue. So something just in that chain isn't working correctly. And therefore, when you're doing a certain movement, it's just loading more and more and more. Eventually, the load gets too much and you end up with a bulge, you end up with a herniation, you end up with irritation. All these things can have a massive effect. So in terms of curing it, it's about finding the cause, what structure is being affected, and how can we fix that. First of all, we get everything working the way it should be. Is it contracting? Is it relaxing? Fantastic, that's good. Now everything's working, let's go try and deload that area. Let's go and do some nice light exercises where we're working you through a nice pain-free range and just building things back up again. Because a lot of the time, people who have been suffering from sciatica for a long period of time are are just out of the flow of things, okay? And therefore, they're just not robust because they've been in pain for so long that they just not working the way they should. So once you get everything working, it's really important that you go and strengthen, go and exercise with them, reintroduce everything, get the brain talking to their muscles the way it should be, get everything contracting correctly, and pain should start to go away. Because the amount of times I've seen sciatica is, I can't even count. All right, it's really common here, and I've seen anything from herniation to bulges, and I'm happy to say that I think majority, if not all of them, have got better or completely cured, which is great. Most people come in and they're like, oh, my surgeon has wanted to fuse, or they're going to want to do a discectomy, and the truth is it just, yes, it might help for a period of time, but you're still going to always have that load issue, and eventually something else is going to give way further down the line. So it's really important to address the issue first. And if you can't address the issue and you're too far gone, then yes, surgery may be an option. But I'd always say go through physio first and try and cure it and fix it that way, rather than go straight to surgery. Because a lot of time we see people that have had the surgery and they're actually in a lot worse position than they were in the first place, especially if they had a fuse, because you just lack mobility and movements in the joint space there. So that is the sciatica pretty much summed up. So we've covered what it is, how can you prevent it, and more importantly, how can you cure it. If you are someone that is suffering with sciatica, I would highly recommend that you get in touch with someone who can help you, because it is one of them conditions that can get worse and worse and worse and worse, and eventually you may even reach a point of no return. And then that's when you would have to go down to the surgery route, and we highly recommend you don't do that at all. Okay, so yes, that is pretty much sciatica summed up. Now, what we will also look at quickly is something that's very similar to sciatica, and that's SIJ pain, sacroiliac joint pain. So your SIJ is located either side of your lumbar spine. Okay, basically connects your pelvis together, and it's a joint that doesn't move much, probably about 0.5 degrees roughly. However, if you are a woman and are you going through pregnancy or have gone through pregnancy, you will release a hormone called relaxin, and this will allow that joint to move a little bit more, hence the word relaxin, because basically it makes everything a bit hypermobile. And this can cause a lot of problems for women later down the line, especially in the SIJ area. And what we see a lot of is women who have had children, and then what they do is start to get back into the flow of things, and they go running and they start weightlifting again, and they get this really bad back pain. That's something very common, and usually it's SIJ pain, not sciatica, and it's usually a glute problem as well, glute or psoas problem. So we just address the issue, get them exercising, fix that, sorted. So if that sounds like someone you know, or it's you yourself, get into contact, because we can fix that. We do it all the time, see it all the time, and it can be quite an easy fix. All right. So that actually pretty much covers all the questions for today in terms of sciatica. If you do have more questions, please get them in so we can answer them all next week. I know I did say I'd do a tutorial this week, but things just haven't gone to plan in terms of timing and things like that. So I do apologize, but I am on that. I am making a list for you guys in terms of exercises you want to see, because I know you all want to see how to do deadlifts as well. So I am trying to sort that out. So bear with me. We will get that sorted, and I'll let you all know as soon as when we will be doing that, and when we'll be going live with that as well. So it's been a bit of a short video compared to last week, which was over half an hour, because we got a lot more questions. But I guess with sciatica it's kind of limited, because it's quite a simple thing to kind of explain, more difficult to actually cure it. But like I said, it's really important that you just get into touch with someone who can help you out, locate the problem, locate what's going on, and then go from there. Because I mean, the worst thing you can do is guess, because if you start doing something wrong, you're in trouble. All right, because you don't want to irritate it even more. All right, because you'll be more debilitated. And we spoke about this last time. We hate this cycle because we see it a lot. It's you get pain, you lose mobility, you stop moving, pain gets worse, and so on and so on and so on. And we don't want that. All right. One thing though to take away from this is if you do suffer from back pain, especially sciatic pain, lower back pain, try and walk. Walk. The spine loves to walk, loves going for walks. All right. So that's a great way to keep things rolling, keep things moving, is walking. Okay. So I'd recommend definitely trying to walk. So apart from that, that is everything sorted. All those questions have been answered. I will look forward to your questions next time. And more importantly, if you do have questions, get them in, please, 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 because I'd love to answer them, and hopefully you can get some benefit from my answers as well. So yet again, thank you so much. Have a great day. I know it's been a short one, but next week probably be longer. Have a great day. Bye bye.